let's go on and look at example 2. Let me switch over here. All right, so on example 2 here, we are looking at Tori, who bought 1 share of Macy's stock in 2016 for $33.38, and then 4 years later sold it at a closing price of $5.09. So this was my original, was the $33.38. And then the 509 is the sell or today's. And so how much money did they gain or lose with the stock? First off, we should recognize that they lost money. We went from 33 to $5, so that they definitely lost money. But how much money did they lose? So in order to find this out, we need to take $33.38 and subtract $5.09 from that. And we find that Tori lost $28.29. All right, so what is her rate of return? All right, so to find the rate of return, remember that it is today or the sale. We'll say sale. Okay, so sale minus the original divided by the original. And so really this top part is what we did up here in a sense, but we are selling it for $5.09. We originally purchased it for $33.38. And then we're going to divide by that purchase price, $33.38. So the difference between 509 and 3338, that is negative 28.29. So lost and a negative are kind of synonymous in our cases here. So lost and a negative. They lost $28.29. And we are looking at now taking that and dividing it by that original price of $33.38. So you want to do this division aspect first. I want to take the negative, let me clear this out here. All right, I want to take 509, subtract 33.38. You'll see I get a negative. I want to divide that by $33.38. And so you'll see I get that as my decimal. And then I want to now times it by 100. And so I have negative 84.75. So this is equal to negative 84.75%, because remember, rate of return is a percentage. Or I can say a loss of 84.75%, because remember, a negative is the same as a loss. So negative 84.75% or a loss of $84.75. All right, let's go on. Example 3 down there. Example 3, Jenny's been watching the stock of Tesla for the past 5 days, and the closing prices were as follows. So here are all of our closing prices that we have. You'll notice that we have 5 days worth, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 days worth. And it says, what is the average value of the stock? So remember, average, add all together and divide by how many there are. So, and divide. Okay, so we need to add these stock prices up. So don't forget this guy over here. So the $849.99. We need to add all 5 of these prices up, and then we're going to divide by how many there are. And in this case, there are 5 items. So we're going to divide by 5. So 827, oops. 827.51 plus 853.36 plus 862. Grab your calculator and do this with me. 845 plus 849.99. Add all that together and then divide by 5, and we will find that the average is $847.57. All right, go ahead and turn or flip over, turn the page there. We got two more examples to go through here, example 4 and example 5. All right, so 4 is very similar to example 1 and 2 that we've already done. We are looking at a return on investment. Okay, so we're looking for a percentage. We buy at $9 per share into Olive's Toys, and a few years later we sell at $3.52. So remember that on this, because we're selling for less, we are taking a loss. Okay, so we're going to take the sell price, $3.52. We're going to subtract the original price, which was what we purchased it at, or Tom purchased it at $9. And we're going to divide by that original amount of $9. Okay, and then, okay, so when we do this, we find, again, $9 is more than the 3, so we have a negative dollar amount of $5.48. So Tom has lost $5.48 on his investment. We're going to divide by that original amount so we can find that return. And then remember, we want it as a percent. So move the decimal or multiply by 100. You're going to find that you have a negative 60.89%. So the return on investment was negative 60.89%, or a loss of 60.89%. Okay, that's really important that you either have the negative in the front or you say loss of. All right, and then question 5 here. So this is an IPO question. And so in fact, in April of 2019 is when Zoom first went public. So just before the COVID times. The price was $36 a share at that IPO. So you invested $36,000. Wouldn't that be nice if we actually had that much? But that's okay. Into Zoom at the IPO. And then in February 5th, 2021, so about 2 years later, the price had increased to $419.59 a share. And the question is, how much money would you make if you had sold on that day? So in order to find out how much, okay, so how much money, I'm going to put this in a different color, how much money, we are looking for a dollar amount, and this is our profit. Okay, so keep that in mind as we kind of work in this problem here. First off, we need to find out how many shares were purchased. And so we have $36,000 that we have as an investment, and that was $36 per share. And so what we have is that you actually purchased a total of 1,000 shares bought. Okay, so 1,000 shares bought with this. Now, the profit on this, okay, so on this with the profit, you purchased for $36 and it has increased for $419.59. So we actually need to find the difference between those two to determine what our profit is. So we need to take that current price, $419.59, and subtract $36. To find that, we have $383.59. Okay, so the profit is $383, $383.59, $383.59. This is the profit per share. And that's the important part of this. This is that per share. They have made $383.59. And they bought a total of 1,000 shares. So we want to multiply that by the number of shares. All right, and so that gives us our amount here. that we have made, if we actually sold and actually had invested this amount here, we have made $383,590 profit. So that is a pretty big profit that was made from that investment. So just kind of an FYI, we'll talk about IPOs. You know, we've talked about them kind of throughout, but that's how you can see where people can appreciate significantly from there.